Oh, great. Okay, so we're reading comic strips. Our guest is Danielle Corsetto, and her website is girlswithslingshots.com. Intrigued? Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Small Businesses Do It Better, where we bring you weekly videos highlighting small business owners who share their fun, their work, and everything in between. This show is brought to you by Ovali, where we empower your home office lifestyle through web hosting, cloud services, and domain names. Visit ovali.com to work with us today. And by audible.com. Get your free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/ovali. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Hello, I'm Kathy, the Chief Decision Maker at Ovali.
And I'm Carissa, the Community Relations Manager.
Okay, so tonight is a special guest. I've never interviewed somebody that illustrates, thinks of these things, that these comic strips that are so hilarious, and she has such a huge following that we are honored to have Danielle Corsetto on tonight, and she'll be on in just a couple seconds or minutes. There's a picture of her right now, and who's the character she's...
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get a Kleenex and just wipe my tears because I keep laughing. So the cactus is McPedro. We'll talk about him.
Okay, so in the back here, too, is all the cast of characters on her website, which is girlswithslingshots.com. As we're talking, you should scroll... You should scroll through them because we had a little bit of a delay tonight. So Chris and I were reading them to Danielle and cracking up. She's been doing this for a long time, or she's been in the comic strip era, I don't know, business, whatever you want to say. She's done remarkably well. So we're going to get tips and tricks from her tonight. But in the meantime, let's see what's going on with Ovali. Anything exciting?
We wrapped up our Back to Business Building Summit, which was incredible. There's a ton of speakers there, so stay tuned for info on that.
We this past month, September, we're just starting in October, and September was Shark Tank month. So to have incredible business owners and great tips from them. So I encourage you to all go to ovali.tv to listen to them again. But also to kind of change it up and get into October, this is a perfect guest because she's going to make you laugh, but also she's going to inspire you because she has some great she sells things on her website. She's done this forever. She's really cute and young, and you'll just be inspired by her. So without further ado, let's get Danielle on live. Hello, Danielle.
Hi, ladies.
I'm so honored to have you tonight, both Chris and I.
Well, thanks. I'm honored to be here. And all those nice things that you said about me, just...
I seriously have never really met somebody that is so talented too in something like this. So, Danielle, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, you guys already said the name of the comic, which is Girls with Slingshots. I started it in 2004, and it immediately went live. I think I did the first 3 strips like a week before the whole thing went live. Kind of fly by the seat of my pants for my entire business model. But the comic strip is about mostly 2 girls, Jamie and Hazel, and they're talking cactus and all of their friends, and they're mostly in their 20s, kind of trying to figure out that space in between college and career and relationships and friendships and all that sort of stuff. It's a slice of life comedy. As for myself, I live in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. I've been here for 13 years. I went to Shepherd University and just fell in love with the town and stayed here. Since I travel so much, I decided I could just stay in this very chill place in West Virginia, and I travel around quite a bit for my job, doing comic book conventions and that sort of thing. But I do update the comic 5 times a week, and it is my full-time job and has been since 2007.
Very cool. And you last month you were at Baltimore Comic-Con. I saw your interview on YouTube, which was very cool.
Baltimore SPX and Interventions. So I did 3 local ones in a row.
So what you read about you online, if everybody takes a look at who Danielle is, she started, not when you just said, but you actually way back, you started doing this. Not this, Girls with Slingshots, but you tried your first. Can you tell us what age you started?
Yeah, I was 8 years old. I was just telling the ladies earlier, I started, in my mind, very, very old. Like, it was just way too late. I had started drawing and writing at a really early age and reading. I was kind of an early bloomer for just doing all these having all these creative expressions, I guess, and mastering them pretty well. I kind of plateaued at 10 years old and never stopped after that. Like, just kind of stayed around that age. And I dressed the same, actually. This is my brother's shirt from 7th grade.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I started drawing comic scripts when I was 8, and I just never stopped. I always had some property. I didn't know they were called properties at that point, but some idea that I was always drawing cartoons for, and they were just buzzing in my head all the time. I always had the cartoon characters like in my head and knew what they were doing in my head anyway.
I love that.
That's very cool.
And we're showing pictures of your comics right now, your comic strips.
Okay.
We'll be doing that.
So how did you first create your characters, and then how do you introduce new characters into your strips?
It's funny, I actually just wrote something for a book about this, about creating characters and character development throughout a comic strip.
You just wrote a book about this?
Oh, just a piece for a friend's book.
Okay, wow. All right.
And actually, I have no idea when the book is coming out, but it should be really cool. They interviewed a lot of cartoonists on their process. So the characters that I actually have for this cartoon are from something that I did in high school called Hazelnuts. And I just really like the characters, so I kept them. And it's weird, a lot of the characters that have come up across since then, and it's got like a Simpsons size cast at this point. It's kind of ridiculous. I forget some of their names at this point. The characters just kind of organically form themselves. It seems like whenever I just feel like there's a need for a certain kind of character, they just wind up popping in my head and immediately going in. And the way they develop, I kind of have a unique, I guess, viewpoint on this. I think a lot of people do this subconsciously already, but when I bring in a new character, I typically try to introduce them the way that they would actually introduce themselves to an acquaintance, to a new acquaintance, which is to say, my friend Michael always calls it, what is it called? Calling in your representative, which is like, when you meet somebody for the first time, you always want to make a good impression on people. So you always kind of push all of your most ideal character traits in the front, and eventually when somebody gets to know you better, they're going to find your flaws because you just can't hide them, or you feel more comfortable letting them see your flaws. So I have a lot of characters who, when they're brand new, I do hear a lot of my readers being like, well, she used to be so fine, like she was stable and she was so solid. What happened? Like, why has her life been turning into turmoil now? And, my argument is, well, if you were getting to know her, which you kind of did as a reader, as an audience member, if you're going to know this person in real life, you would find their flaws later on. So a lot of their flaws come up longer, as they've been in the comic strip longer over time.
Okay,
and they're kind of introducing them.
Yes, so one thing you have to observe different people to see, because how the heck do you get all of these characters thought up by yourself? And kind of, like
how many are based on people in your life?
Yes, that's what we really want to know.
And do they know it?
Yes.
I get that a lot. One of the characters is actually Jameson, the hot barista.
Which...
Your husband.
Yeah.
He was originally based off of a friend, but it's amazing how, and actually Angel, the bartender, was also based off of a friend of mine. It's amazing how they so quickly develop their own characters to the point where they are no longer remotely close to what the people that they were originally based off of are like. So they really do write themselves after a while, which is, I don't know, that might say something weird about me. I don't know.
I love that. That's, who has that in them to do that is what's so cool about you. But also you get feedback from your blogs, which is amazing to me. How many, and it's not spam in these blogs, people. It's all of her followers talking about her characters, which you could get lost in just those comments and how many people are so passionate about these characters. That's got to say a huge thing to you too.
It's really flattering, and they're very civil. It's really amazing. It's the only comment section I've known where I don't really have to cringe when I go in to look. It's always or even if there's one person who says something that's kind of nasty or just really wrong or really one-sided, I don't have to respond. I'll give it the rest of the day, and by the time I go back, there's a whole response chain, just not even so much arguing, but just discussing the issue and really like building new opinions out of each other. It's really great to watch.
That's so cool.
Yes.
While we were waiting for the show to start, we were looking through the cast of characters on her website. And we're like, who are we? Who am I most like? So go through the characters. I mean, there's a lot of characters. There's like, what, 24 of them or something on here?
Little animals, too.
Yeah, look at the animals. Isn't Fluffy cute? Look at Fluffy. Look at those eyes.
And then read below and read...
We won't zoom in on that, but each character is very defined.
And Special K. I mean, there's
secret skills,
secret
weapons.
To believe, yeah, it's just remarkably
I'm
well
literally
done.
gonna have tears are gonna come out. Okay,
so
you do go to a ton of events, like you said. You travel a lot. So what's the difference that you found between your online fans and people that you meet at these events? I think we just
she's
lost
connecting
her, so
again.
Hold on a second.
In on a couple more characters.
Yeah.
There she is. Okay.
Hi.
I don't know if you heard me. What is the difference that you found? Are you still there? Because we don't have...
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I was wondering what happened.
You just got to get your video back
We
up.
don't see the video yet. Sometimes it takes a second.
Oh, you know, I have to push it again. I keep forgetting there's
Yes.
a button for
There
that.
she is. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, so you go to a lot of events. You travel a lot. What is the difference that you found between your fans online versus in person at these events?
That was a really good question, and I read it this morning, and then I thought of an answer and forgot it. You know, there isn't a huge difference, actually. People who read are generally really, really sweet online. I mean, like I said, they're very civil within the comment section, which I think is really amazing and is very rare, especially on the internet. But the people who I meet at conventions are also so sweet. They usually bring me gifts. They're so sweet. They don't need to at all. But, you know, just coming over and saying hello is always enough. But I really do. I boast, and I really do feel this way. I really have the best readers. There are quite a few of us now that are making a living at doing comics, or even some people who may have a day job or whatever, but they're still doing a comic pretty consistently. And there are some nasty readers out there. I think it kind of depends on your content, but I guess my comic is at heart really based on love, and it's talking about friendship and what it really is, and what really matters to people and what values people hold dear to them. So I don't know. I think that really attracts a really wonderful group of people, and they are both wonderful online and wonderful in person. I'm really blessed.
This isn't on the questions we gave you earlier, but I would like to know what it felt like when you first put your first comic strip online. How did and did you get a response right away? That must have been really hard for you to just put out something like that.
Oh no, it was so easy. But I've always been kind of not a performer in person, but a performer certainly with my work in print, and I guess in this case online. I don't know if I cut off the rest of your question. I hope I didn't.
No, you didn't. That was good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no, I'd actually already. I'd already been published several times in very small publications when I was in middle school, high school, college. I was kind of already used to that. And I was already kind of developing like a sense of what kind of readership or what kind of feedback you listen to, or what kind of feedback you just ignore and don't pay attention to. And I actually started putting my work up on other people's websites in 2001, I think. I had 2 different comics on 2 different websites, and so I'd already started getting used to the feedback via the internet. And by the time I finally put something out, people had been asking me to please put out a consistent comic that belonged to me, that was on a dedicated website. In, I guess, 2004, at the end of 2004, I finally did it. And the only thing that was different for me was that suddenly I had a deadline that I had to adhere to that was going to be just for me. And, you know, my sponsor's website wasn't going to be held responsible for it. It was just me. But I actually started off with quite a readership already because there are so many people who were following my old work.
That's a great progression too of
Yeah,
how that worked. Very
yeah.
nice.
When you
This
go
is
to like Comic-Con or whatever, do you get people dressing up like characters?
Yes, it's a
Ooh.
Mr.
Ooh.
thing. I love
Wow.
it.
That's kind of scary.
It's really cool.
Well, you see, like, the diehard people when you go to a movie, but I've never been to a Comic-Con. You said the Los Angeles one was insane.
We were at Disneyland one year with our kids when they were younger, and there was a line outside that event, and it's like you went to Disneyland looking at everybody because it was so much fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the costumes have gotten even more impressive over the years. Like the past couple years, notably, there have been just amazing costumes.
That's cool.
That would be fun to go to.
Do you dress up for your characters, like
Yeah.
for Halloween? What are you going to be? Who are you going to be?
That's a good
Are you
question.
going to be the cactus?
Not yet. I haven't thought of that. I have been the cactus before because it was a cop out and it was really easy. I had the sombrero already.
That's awesome. I have a question about Mick Pedro, but that's the last one because it's really funny to me.
Okay.
So you have a huge, huge, huge following online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google Plus, all over the place. How has social media affected your readership or fan base?
Hugely, and actually, I can give an example finally. A lot of us cartoonists really took to Twitter very quickly. So I think in 2007 it was started, some year like that. Most of the people who were on there that I was following, back when I could just follow maybe 20 people instead of the 600 or whatever I'm following now, it was mostly cartoonists because it's such a natural, especially web cartoonists, it's such a natural way for us to communicate. We're trying to be as terse, as concise as possible. It's a great practice for us actually to be as concise as possible with our jokes and to just pare everything down to the most essential words. So it's actually really like a really great exercise for us. But on top of that, you can follow two people who are following each other. So a lot of our readers overlap and they'll follow a whole bunch of us. And so after we're done, putting up a comic for a day, we'll spend the rest of the day bantering back and forth to each other. And it's just more entertainment for them. Even if we're not talking to each other, we're just kind of spouting out our opinions about things and, trying to be as funny as we can throughout the day. And it's like an added bonus to the comic. So I use Twitter the most. Facebook has also been useful. And the example that I have is that the company that I work with, they host my website or they serve my website. I don't quite know the verb. Their server was hacked and it was disastrous.
Mm-hmm.
They actually host a lot of other web cartoonists. So all of our websites have gone down. Mine was down for I think a week and a half.
Oh my gosh.
And this is detrimental. I mean, this is how I make my livelihood. And I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. Luckily, the hacker was kind enough at least to pick Labor Day weekend.
Wow.
So, I mean, unfortunately for my company, because they had to, my partner company, they had to be working the entire weekend to get everything back up and running. But, luckily there was a Monday that like nobody was going to be checking it anyway. But I didn't quite know what to do. So I looked through Tumblr. I'd never really set up a Tumblr page. I went ahead and started putting the comics up on Tumblr. I immediately went to my Facebook fan page where a lot of my readers are already paying attention and put up notices there. I have a really wonderful moderator who already took care of everything and like made notices about what was going on and kept people up to date on Twitter. Now, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, if I missed an update on an update day and just didn't put anything up about it, I would immediately lose thousands of readers, and some of them wouldn't come back. So I was really terrified about what would happen. I was really starting to just brace for the end of this comic, because if nobody's going to come back because they don't know where the comic went and they're just kind of casual readers, then they're going to take me off of their RSS feeds and they're not going to pay attention to me forever again. So I was really concerned. I make most of my income off of ad revenue from the website. So that was already a week that was down anyway, but I wouldn't be able to support myself if none of the readers came back. And amazingly, through all the social media that's come through in the past several years, that's become stronger and more widely used, it's right back up to the regular readership. It's unbelievable. I lost nobody, it seems like.
Social media, if you're good at what you're doing and you update like you did, and you're very good about talking to your followers, can be a godsend with stuff like that. So kudos to that, and a great tip for everybody.
Yeah. It's really amazing. I'm really grateful.
Awesome. You also sell products.
Here let's see.
I saw we.
Greeting cards, earrings.
All sorts of things. How did you start doing this, and what do you say to somebody who wants to start selling online? Because it's quite a...
Actually, I was answering this last night, come to think of it. I was talking at my alma mater, Shepherd University, and some of the kids, they were curious about, what's a start, or I guess, they weren't even curious. I just decided they were curious, so I started talking about it, come to think of it. When I started out doing merchandise, my first book, I went through a print on demand, a POD, which means that instead of having to do like a crazy print run of 1,200 or 2,000 books that may not sell and may just be a huge waste of money, which I definitely did not have at the time. Instead, I went through this print on demand company, which meant that the books were each more expensive and kind of shoddier quality, but at least I was putting out books and I could kind of determine whether or not this was something that was going to be lucrative to me. Originally, when I put the comic strip up, I was doing it as a way to advertise my skills in writing in HTML and CSS, actually, because I did the website by hand, and in my drawing skills. And I was hoping to just get freelance illustration jobs out of it. And that was the majority of what I was looking for. So I didn't actually go into this looking to make it into my business, because I knew that was kind of a long shot. And I would suggest that also to anybody who's getting into it, to just go into it for the love of it. I swear to God, anybody who's doing something that they love, the people who are watching them will be able to tell. If you're doing it to try to get the money, they're also going to be able to tell, and they're going to see right through you and probably not get very invested in your characters, because you're clearly not either. So if you're doing something you love, make sure you're doing it for the love of it, and just maybe hope that maybe someday you'll be able to make a living at it. It was a few years before I decided to put out that first book, and it sold really, really well.
And it's on there too. I saw that. It's like $19.99, and it's like your first one.
Oh, I don't even know which one that is, actually.
I saw it, and it's like, that looked pretty fun.
And you've got all your books on your website. You've got what is it, like a 6-pack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the 7th book is coming out this November or December. So I do have quite a few. And now, ever since I did that print on demand to kind of test to see how well I could do it, I started doing the job full time, and started going through actual printers where you can cut the cost of each item about in half, and the quality is much better. So you just do print runs of like 1,200 or so, and it brings down the price quite a bit, which makes it a lot more lucrative and a lot more feasible as a career.
I just opened the live chat to check in on it, and Serial Guy Dan,
I love the name,
says he's always entertained by you and he loves your watercolors.
Oh, thanks.
It's nice.
Thanks, Serial Guy Dan. Okay. Sorry, I'm totally going to geek out here. I had fun tweeting about your event here, because I'm like hashtag Comic-Con all over the place, and I'm sorry, I'm a big, giant dork, but okay.
Giant dork.
So,
I'm the one who draws comics. I think you're cool.
Okay, so we want to talk about this guy right here. This is McPedro.
It sounds like Carissa's favorite.
He's hilarious. So, as you saw in the pictures that we showed you earlier, there's plush McPedro toys. There's giant McPedro. So cool. Right there, there's giant McPedro. So, what happens events when you have the giant McPedro and these plush people? Do people just want them in just total photo ops all over the place?
Yeah, a lot. The large McPedro has gotten a little cumbersome. He also kind of needs a nip tuck. He looks more like this now. He doesn't look quite as sturdy and cactusy. So I don't take him as often. But he was actually really great at, there's a show called Heroes Con. There were quite a few shows where I would have to walk down the line of people, and there would be, a lot of these Comic-Cons have gotten so huge, there are just lines of people who have lined up hours before the show starts.
That's amazing.
So when I walk in, I try to walk in with McPedro so that everybody in line knows that the girl with the cactus is here.
That's
just so they know.
Very good.
It works out pretty well. And then, now I have the plush items, which are way less complicated to take with me. So those, they're eye catchers, and people know they can find me. And there are a lot of people who I'll hear actually standing next to my table who'll be like, oh yeah, on the phone with their friends, I'm near the cactus. Can you look for the cactus? Because I'm right here next to the cactus.
I think it's hilarious.
Smart.
His mustache is so big you can't see his eyes.
I think it is his eyes. He doesn't even have eyes.
His secret is his mustache.
Well, there's
his French mustache. So, I'm sorry. I love this idea. I listened to someone at our summit last week, and they have a product that they sell, and they found a giant version of one of their products that they sell, and they take it with them everywhere. And then I saw your cactus, and she said, she's like, everybody just takes it and wants their picture taken with it. It's like the best free PR ever.
For sure. I actually took him to, before he grew arms in the comics, so he just looked like a cucumber stuck in a pot with a mustache and a sombrero. I actually took him to Niagara Falls on my way to a Toronto show. And there are so many, mostly Asian families who got family photos with him, just not even asking me what he was. They just like, oh yeah, we want a photo. We want a photo. Come here.
I love it. That's a
so
very
funny.
good idea.
Do you take him with you like the roaming gnome? Like you take him and just take your picture?
I haven't asked other readers to do that for me. I would love to have people who have bought me to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take your cat. We'll take a mini, not the big, huge, giant one. He's like, sorry, this is so funny.
Such a goober.
Seatbelt him in your car.
Yes. No, I actually took him with me. He sits in the front. I took him with me to check out new cars when I got a new car to make sure that he would fit.
Are you on
need a
Instagram?
sunroof?
You have to be on
Oh, yeah.
Instagram. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta follow you.
I'm basically
Hilarious.
just Corsetto for every handle for everything.
Okay. So why don't you tell us where we can find you?
So it's girlswithslingshots.com. If you're too lazy to type that all out, it's gwscomic.com. And then on Twitter, I'm D Corsetto, which is Corsetto. And I will warn you that, and it's Tuesday too. I'm a little bit, so the comic has a lot of, we'll say, just sexual innuendos and a lot of sex jokes. So, I mean, it's not for necessarily
young
people conservative about, about this sort of thing. A lot of alternative relationships, a lot of lesbians. I don't even know how that happened, but there's a ton of lesbians in there. So my Twitter is a little bit, my whole idea behind the comic is to get people comfortable with the way that they are. So I do something called TMI Tuesdays, which I haven't done yet today. So if you wind up following me right now, at some point tonight, I'll probably write something about myself that you didn't necessarily want to know.
TMI, too much information for those who.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't know.
That's what's so cool about interviewing you today, because I don't get to interview, usually it's a small business owner that is, in their home office doing, the normal stuff. And this is, everybody should be watching this because you're inspiring, because you do these kind of fun things that are outside the box and you're getting paid for it. So that's even more amazing.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much,
paid
Danielle.
for drawing a talking cactus with a French mustache.
It was very refreshing to talk to you tonight, and thanks again.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, so that was one of the first for me. I really enjoyed Danielle very much. And unfortunately, next week we do not have a show because I'm going on vacation. Anyways, yes, so it was great to have Danielle tonight, and we will see you, what's the date on the next one?
14 days from now.
14 days. But Carissa will be updating you for all the fun. Until the 14th. This is Kathy and Carissa. See you next time.